Nade around the corner, has the right shoulder on him. Toshpik gets away. Kakali's already down, making this a 3 versus 4. There's a high ground off angle coming in for Brute Force as well on this roll-up. And there's a team at their back as well. Potential third-party shots from Twisted Minds or IWNRX, depending on if they're looking out this way. Freezer continues the bombardment. This is the last nade he's got, though. So after this, it's gunpowder all the way.
The officers just pop it back in the pocket there. I think that does make sense. Considering the scenario you're in, you really do need to find some kind of value off one of these nades, at least an opening knock to push into the building with, because there's so many angles in there that could be awkward to play around with, and both those nades feel somewhat sloppy.
Toshpik. There's the nade. Lewis takes damage, immediately bandages out. Freezer, nade in. Cook goes a little bit too long to find Lewis and doesn't quite go short enough to find Toshpik at the back. Lewis still just bandaging away. 3 first aids, but reticent to use them on this engagement. Steps out. Lewis, what are you doing? That was a real bold pick. Poser on the off angle there on the high ground to Freezer. Are they going to be able to hop out and find it? Because Lewis has already gone down now and gets flushed very, very quickly. He repositions Poser, handily swiveled on by Freezer. A nice flick up there, and now Toshpik evacuates out the back, but how much further can he go? They know that he's clambered out, but they have him on lock, and that should be done and dusted. A hop out comes on through, save for 1, and it will be Freezer still just holding things down. What a way to close it out. Black Esports taken away, and Brute Force donated 4 points.
Yeah, a big expend of utility, though, to clear him out from that building. And you look where Brute Force currently are, all the way on that northwest edge. It's a question of, was that worth it? But if you play on the edge there, you need to find some kind of foothold, and this was the only one that they could locate. See how many supplies that they can remove from here. Guild need to make a similar decision, actually, over towards Brute Force, but they revealed their position very early on here, John.
Guild with the back 2, leaving 0 a little bit alone. GG not GG, very far away. They look a little bit confused in their current scenario. Not really too much to do. I suppose you just don't go for the trades. You're just maybe finding a pick and try and play reactionary. But for now, they'll hold their nerve. They'll bide their time. In the center of La Bendita crater, you've got S2G. 77 pushing up to the southeast side of that crater. And I think I really like 77's position here. I think it's going to afford them a lot of survivability come the next circle. So we'll see if they're able to capitalize on that. The south side is chock-a-block full of teams, and it's Nigma Galaxy and RCB close to one another on these South Hills, and Magnum wants to try and deal with it. Look at that flex out from 77 to try and find the off angle. Nigma Galaxy making their move, but Limbo Boom has the angle. There should be a crossfire, but Magnum isn't to move on through, and they've now cut off Magnum from the rest of his team.
You question whether a backstab is going to come through at some point from Magnum, right? Surely. RCB over towards that west side also have information about this, and the circle is ticking quite hard at this point in time of the game. So Magnum's going to be hurting. I do herd them off towards that western side, though. They send up towards the high ground in La Bendita, and 77 just has to let it happen. But they are zooming directly over towards S2G. I'm not entirely sure how good of a decision this is.
Is Novalo going to check the floor? Because Wash is there.
Oh, that's nasty.
That is really unkind. I wonder if Nigma Galaxy know that nading out this building. Novalo moving in, but not being super respectful of this position. He does spot a player at the back, and Marceau is there. Wash still lying in wait, or crouching in wait, rather, for Redox to make a misstep. Wants to see a little bit more. Wants to get the whites of his eyes in the sight line before he makes a nuisance of himself. Redox with a nade. Now that they know Marso's there, they're going to be really focused on it. And Redox, I'm fairly certain they don't know that they've got a player right next to them. They've also got Na'Vi, who have moved into the crater as well on the northeast side. Look at that. Potential third party. Might make things difficult. 77 trading off with vibes on the northeast side. RCB, Virtus Pro, all starting to surround on the southeast side of this crater. Redox putting some bandages up to the high ground. Not too sure who he's giving those over to. Wash is still there. And finally, they move in through the building. Wash can now have that backstab. They need to find something effective, and the spray from the UMP is good for one. They will trade it off. No, they're not going to find the re-knock. Goes for the spray, gets the weapon swap. They know exactly where he is. What is going to happen from Marso's angle as well? You've got to remember that there is that third party, but a beautiful DBS peek is going to find that flush as well, and Marso was too low to do anything about it. They push it back, and Nick Galaxy lose one, but take out the threat on the inside.
Yeah, hilarious. I mean, that angle was held for so long, they ran straight past him. Yeah, S2G just couldn't hold him out. Right now, Bienvenidos is sort of one of the main places if you want some cover. It's quite open off towards that western side, and a lot of the teams are playing up towards Minas Generalis. In terms of positioning for Twisted Minds, IWNRX, as well as Brute Force and Guild playing on the high ground. No one really wants to step foot over towards this just barren land that sits down towards the middle of the circle to the west of Bienvenidos. 77 gets a nasty nade, bounces off his head, gives him a migraine, and that's 77 down and out with 6 eliminations to finish the game. Virtus Pro cleave through them.
Can get the res on the Bishke if they play their cards right. Those smokes will give them the cover they need to do it. Malloy with a Mini 14 should be able to see. Yeah, there's no way you get away with that. Brute does go down pretty quickly. Twisted Minds up to IWNRX. This is on the north side, on the run out. IWNRX with the high ground here, with the nades flying back over towards Twisted Minds. Both teams on 4 players alive. Brute Force off in the distance as well. Good third party.
It's a hard spot to nade for Swain, honestly. Because your nade has to burst next to him. There's no back wall to bounce it off, to land it on. Has to be a perfectly timed nade from Coops. Banks it off the doorway, though. Smart stuff.
Zedwolf is already healing, but they've now spotted each other. Coops in with the shotgun, looking to find Zedwolf through. It's up and down. It's shoulder height window, just peeking. It's ducks in a barrel, as Kale would say. And we're going on over the top as they're finding the openings, but it's IWNRX who are eating the brunt of this damage. They even nade themselves. It's disastrous. Brute Force are third partying. Twisted Minds, they've lost one player, and now Frozen, with it all to do, can't quite meet the hurdle, and Brute Force could capitalize.
Goodness me, Brute Force could come on in. Over towards the eastern edge. Twisted Minds, I don't know how they lived that one out versus IWNRX. It looked really bad. Zedwolf was popping up and down there. Playing a dangerous game, but it looked cool. Stage 5 now, though. Heading towards those later circles where things start to get rough, and feels more and more likely that we're either heading over towards Bienvenidos or just to open ground, in which case these teams are going to fall like flies.
Trying to move over from this western hill, but look how isolated they are. There is no way down with cover. They need to get some run up with the smoke and just try and catapult themselves somewhere, choose a position, crash on into it. They have managed to figure out where they want to go, and I think they're heading towards Falcons, probably the best choice for them. Exo in, looking for the fight immediately on the swivel. Guild yet to take a knock and actually take down Ali, so they have had a good opener onto this crash. Potential success. Brute Force flexing out. Look at Chudo up on this high ground. He's trying to backfill here. A trade off into Guild means that they are now down to 3 as well. 3 versus 3 on the inside, and another knock means that they are 2 players still going on this crash. Hope up close to the window. Ragnar wanting to put the nade in through the window. Ragnar not going to be in a position to eat damage from it, and that's the off angle coming through. It's Team Spirit chiming in as well from the south. A lot of damage pouring on into Guild, and Team Falcons have everybody looking their way as well because Zeus is turning on the fire.
This is a crazy ending. No one really wants to play towards the center here. Everyone's just taking pot shots where they can. But it's Twisted Minds. It's what we wanted to see. 4 players alive towards an end game. And I classify this very much as an end game here. Team Spirit down towards that southern edge as well. They're going to fight off versus RCB and Zeus off in the distance. There's nades flowing through right now from the Falcons.
Last nade for Hope. A good cook. That looks pretty deadly. Yeah, there's no way you get away from that. The cook was on target. It's an easy sitter as long as you know he's in that corner. It just bounces between the wall and the bookcase, and there's no way to get out of that if you put the cook right. Didn't give him enough time to respond. And that is Guild down and out. But they did get a little bit done against Falcons out on the western side. Can't be too harsh on them. There was a third party as well from Team Spirit, from Zeus, from Brute Force as well. Speaking of Brute Force, over on the northern side, they're having a pretty tough time of it. They haven't managed to get back up to 3. Team Spirit on that south edge still need to flow over towards their Labadita crater positions. Because Enigma Galaxy, holding down in the middle, have done so successfully. Silas, caught on the broadside there by Kitsune. Should be easy pickings to find the knock and the flush on the back line. RCB in the meantime trying to descend and getting lit up, torn to shreds by Snowix. Look at the dust kicked up around them, and there's only Azel left standing as he careens down the hillside in a sliver of HP. He goes too quickly into a wall and he's done for, but it's Enigma Galaxy to pick up the lion's share of the points on that one. And now Team Spirit have the chance to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to get behind a lot of teams. It's a 4-man squad right now for Team Spirit with a resupply coming through from the death crates on the side of RCB. They're going to have to wrap around, though, over towards Zeus and the Falcons. It is a pretty tough crossing. Na'Vi lose Lemon from Virtus Pro, who are having a very good time of it this match. Some difficult rotations, some difficult fights they're taking, and they're making it look pretty good so far versus Na'Vi.
Spirit again opting not to go for the full crash, instead circling around, trying to find another route in, find a better solution. They're using up their time bank here. Team Spirit up and into the fight. Zeus is there. Potential third party from Falcons should they want to try and rock up into this one, but they might just want to get ahead of this instead. Nades. Ooh, Maniac puts a pretty deadly one into the midst of it. Matic goes very, very low, but he is going to launch a nade of his own. Around the corner, Maniac puts another one in, and that's going to be on the money this time. Matic does go down. Are they going to be able to find an answer? Nomi is super low. I think he's healing on in. Eren wants to put a nade through immediately. Just this bombardment ramps up time and time again. Effect found, and this is beautiful from Zeus. They are finding these openings, and Team Spirit's rock up just does not go well.
No, 2 players versus the 4 here. Zeus immediately playing on the outside is a very interesting play. And now just 1 player from Team Spirit, and this crash has gone terribly. Just Nomi alive as the last player does get flushed out. He's got a big task ahead of him, does Nomi. Burn out on the stairs, so I'll have information of where he is playing.
Pops the Molotov at the bottom of the stairs, stopping aggression for just a moment longer. Gets the stun around. Oh, spots an ankle. Can't be doing that against Nomi. The spray transition is good. Drops down the stairs, looks for the shot, and Eren, completely unaware of that, gets caught off guard. And Nomi takes him down, gets the flush as well. Stays upstairs, still in his building, but the blue zone pushes out.
Yeah, I think they assumed that he would move down. Maniac popping the medkit does not want to lose this fight versus Nomi. Steps outside, head towards the back, and they'd pulled. Nomi has to make a gamble now.
Ooh. Not a full drop, but pretty nasty position. That full stun allows a bit of a reposition to potentially come on through as well. Maybe slightly unknown. Zeus have to get further into the circle. Nomi does too. So do Enigma Galaxy know, and they are closer than ever to this engagement.
The fact that Nomi's still alive is so surprising. Plays it quite fantastically. Twisted Minds, they lose the Robs on the back line there. Now down to just 2 players, as per usual. 2-man late game. for this team. Freezer from Brute Force on his own towards the center of this lobby. We've seen Brute Force win some incredible games as solos in the past. It's like this one here on Miramar. Twisted Minds are in for a tough time. Navi's out. 0 eliminations found for them, out in 7th.
Only
In fact,
placements.
it's Navi out in 8th and Team Spirit out in 7th.
Oh, there you go. A little ladder up, but not going to have too much of an impact. Virtus Pro, they're playing as 4. 10 eliminations. They've been gathering speed on the side of the La Bendita crater, playing this east side well, sweeping through it. And frankly, there's kind of no one who stands in their way at this stage. Everybody else who has numbers is pushed right to the edge. Now, Virtus Pro, sorry, have got a pretty decent position. Falcons may be able to do something, but look at the high ground that Virtus Pro have, overlooking the entirety of the rest of this circle.
Yeah, it's a really tough one, actually. I mean, Falcons on that side, though, when they're pushed out, life's going to get really hectic. On this next circle, stage 8 drops through. Freezer, though, finds one from Virtus Pro, looks to finish him off, but there's an instant response here from the rest of the team to 11 eliminations now for Virtus Pro.
They're moving in. They need this res to keep this advantage firm. Brute Force go down. Nades in from Nick McGalaxy, taking out one from Zeus. Rita doesn't take damage from the next one. Doesn't have any nades of his own to put back down range. As Virtus Pro continue to suppress Falcon's position. I mean, this is so brutal, right? They've still even got that ridgeline further up. If they can get rid of Nick McGalaxy, they take that ridgeline for free, and it's basically a job done.
Yeah, it should realistically be game over for Nick McGalaxy soon. But that's not to count them out. The 2 players. Oh, attempts to get the shot off, but these are just on target from Koa right now.
A laser beam across the rolling hills there as Icy shuts down SnowX. Zeus is still fragging out a little bit over towards Falcons. Taking more damage over to them. Hope lined up nearly for a second spray down. Suppressed off the ridgeline by Virtus Pro, but Hope falls. So does Ragnar. As Rita sees those smoke plumes bloom. Will not be a threat anymore to him, but will fall to Virtus Pro. I mean, that was cleanup and a half. Isle Virtus Pro, and they get a huge elimination tally to close down the day. Well, not quite the day. They've still got one more match to play, but they closed down the game, rather, for a chicken dinner from Virtus Pro. It wasn't super powerful, but you know what? They just kept marching, and every single time, they were finding points, time and time again.
Yeah, I think when you look at Virtus Pro that game, there was a very strong position there at the start there, but then they had to leverage it a lot of times and keep on pushing, keep on holding teams out. And I think that they used the fact that they had 4 players for such a long time and had found some strong positions early on to really keep that one going. La Bendita became a big focal point for a lot of teams late in this game. And I just think that for Virtus Pro, they played a patient game there against a lot of other teams. They knew we're going to be struggling getting into this circle because it was a difficult circle and a half.
It really had its ups and downs for a lot of those teams. The teams out on the northwest side really suffering. That hardest chaos. That was, I think, the second phase even. The second circle. I mean, everybody clumped up just outside Impala, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, bam, actually, La Bendita, by the way.
Yeah, it
just never left.
It was a terrifying circle shift for a lot of teams. I think Na'Vi gets a little bit of benefit from the fact that it does move back their way. For Virtus Pro, you got to remember they were in Puerto Paradiso, so they had a really long shot to get up towards this circle. They had to fight through a ton of areas. You see here, it was 3,000 damage almost. I think the big one is the 1,000 healing that was done. So there was a ton of engagements Virtus Pro had to get to stake claim on that incredible position they had in the end game on that ridge to just let them get that cleanup with the 14 eliminations. But it was by no means an easy task.
No, a little bit of a stepping stone game for them. But they just kept on going. They kept on trucking, keeping control of their surroundings, and nobody really able to do anything about it. Twisted Minds do still get most eliminations on a single player for Lord. Okay, is that... I'm just trying to figure out if that must be a draw then. That must be a tie. with at least someone from Virtus Pro, because I think they got up to at least 12 eliminations.
They got 14, yeah.
On that one. So if you... How's that possible? Is that possible? No, no, it is. It definitely
4,
is.
4 and 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. So
there's a lot of ties.
Yeah, it must be. A lot of 4 elimination players. And it just goes to show, Virtus Pro spreading the load. No one player pulling too much weight. And that is how you want a team to win. 14 eliminations on the board, able to just spread that burden across all of your roster. That is how champions are made.
Yeah, it 100% is. And again, they've been waiting for a Virtus Pro game for quite a while now, John, and it hasn't really crept upon us yet. But this is a nice game. That and the last match as well, which was just as impressive over in Orangle, where they had to fight out of a lot of teams and make a very hurried decision to take down Zeus and 77 before finally taking that head-on fight versus IWNRX. Really interesting gameplay today from Virtus Pro, and they just needed some of that momentum back on board.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see, again, the tide rising for them. We'll see how much further they can go. Na'Vi, 1 point. Unfortunately, they didn't get anything done really this match either. They are resting on their laurels slightly now, and I will put the thumb screws to them for that, because today has not been good. Ever since they lost that TDM, it's just been downhill time and time again. 181 points now, I think that makes it, with the 1 point they got just there. But we want more, because we've seen more from them, and I'm greedy. What can I say?
Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, you want to see some more banger games out from Na'Vi, certainly because they showed us some crazy stuff overall. But I do think that when you look at, for instance, teams like Virtus Pro, teams like IWNRX, some of these teams just haven't stepped up over the first couple of days, whereas Na'Vi had things figured out from the get-go. So it's nice to see that, you know, Na'Vi now has some proper competition in the lobby.
Absolutely. A head-to-head between Virtus Pro and Brute Force from that match. It's a 2.9k damage from Virtus Pro. That is really, really impressive stuff. Over double Brute Force there.
Yeah, it's a really massive game for Virtus Pro, with the 14 elims, 14 knocks, very efficient in terms of that one. But you can see that Brute Force had a lot to deal with. 1,422 healing done that game, so it's by no means easy for them to get that point, dishing out just as much damage as they received. With the 8 knocks as well, it was very, very scrappy on their side of things.
Yeah, certainly was. They managed to have a little bit of power going on into that game, but nowhere near what Virtus Pro were able to just do, marching forwards time and time again, encroaching, ever present on everybody else in that lobby. It was great. They controlled La Bandita and got the chicken dinner. We'll see you in a few. We've got one more match to play today. It's again going to be on Miramar, as we saw Virtus Pro inexorably gather momentum towards a chicken dinner in the penultimate match. We'll see how that fares on the repeat. Enigma Galaxy, they held down the center of La Bandita Crater for a while and actually did quite well from it. Not normally a position that has a lot of strength, generally a sort of last-ditch position. And maybe it was that for them, but they were able to get a lot of other teams who were also ditching for last time.
Yeah, I think for Virtus Pro as well, that was a fun game. Very, very good. And Falcons. I think Falcons have had some interesting locations around the map where they actually have had a good tryout at getting up towards the top side of these lobbies and potentially winning things. It's just felt like some other teams have sort of pipped them to the post slightly.
Yeah, just a little bit. Getting out of their way, finally, the rest of the lobby has allowed that ascension to be a little bit more efficacious this time around. Na'Vi, slightly disappointing, though, in that last, well, day, to be honest, ever since their TDM. Guild feels like they've been given a lot of opportunity, but haven't been able to convert on those spots, which is unfortunate. They have just been pushed aside. A greater force to be reckoned with.
Last game of the day here with the GT20 Pro sponsoring us here at the Pmsl 2024 EMEA. And we've got a straight shot through the center of the map. Went from truck stop all the way to Monte Nuevo. No one's unhappy with this one. Everyone gets where they need to be. At the end of the day, shenanigans. Twisted Minds up to 128, actually overtaking IWNRX. John, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, they've jumped all the way over. IWNRX seem to have upped the pace, but Twisted Minds lockstep with them. We'll see how far up the tables they can go towards the end of today. Because remember, both of these teams are only just a little bit ahead of Fireflux, right? We talked a lot about how Na'Vi had such an incredible performance over the last few days, but Fireflux as well have had a really stellar showing. They're on 120 points right now and have a 6-match advantage against these two other teams who are really pushing towards the top. Virtus Pro is joining that cadre of players towards that top side as well on 115, and they're not too far behind.
So a lot of teams catching up, and this is the storyline that we've been pushing a lot recently, is that Na'Vi's not fallen off, so to speak, but more teams are getting comfortable with their play style inside this lobby now. Hard west shift from a eastern plane path means that teams do have to get a little bit of a shift on. I think it's the first time in a while we've actually seen this go over towards La Riera and Monte Nuevo in this current tournament.
Scrap in Picado, Falcons and RCB. They're still at it again. It's disappointing. One team can go somewhere else. There's plenty of other spots on this map. And you see, oftentimes, teams just continually throwing away points on what is a third of your matches on Miramar by embroiling themselves in unnecessary conflict in these scenarios and refusing to swallow their pride and go to a different drop location.
Yeah, and again here it's not one where they're likely going to, part gently, right? Because this is a decent rotational path through from this side of Picado out to Monte Nuevo. I mean, RCB could technically again rock down towards Casino. It's just weird that the Falcons have also tried to take up position there as well. So RCB take an initial knock and a flush straight away. Like, this could have been an easy, you have apartments, we're going to head down towards the other side, it's fine. Instead, the Falcons go for something a little bit more split at the start of it. It's equally RCB's fault for dropping on apartments. Not saying this is all on the Falcons.
Takes two to tango. And they're strutting their stuff on the dance floor between Brute Force and Enigma Galaxy as well. Over in El Pozo. A little bit less frequent hot drop, but still potentially just as dangerous for these two rosters. Brute Force looking to put the nade in Judo onto Berlin. Keeps pulling the pin, keeps threatening. Finally, launches it and actually tags on quite a bit of damage. Berlin scuttling around the ground floor, but gives the time for Redox to be able to take him down with a shot from the Mini 14. No refrag from Prepod. Crawling down the stairs, has a little bit of cover. Neos is protecting at long range with the Vector. Not really going to be as effective as maybe he wants to be there. And look at that high ground from Freezer as well. Berlin moving on through and continually just scampering around this building, causing havoc for Brute Force.
Chudo heads through, looks to finish off a player here, get the flush on through. Maybe even find some meds on the death crate. Does at least get some ammo. No meds to be found just yet, so he has to play a little bit safer. Redox, though, on a sliver of HP, dashing away. It's not likely Enigma Galaxy is going to be going too much further in today's games.
Picardo. RCB with 3. Falcons with 3. It's like iron weights on the ankles when you're trying to go for a swim. Hot dropping a Picardo. It's a terrible idea.
That it is. It's going to slow you down. Slow down a lot of the rotates, and the rotates need to come through quickly. I mean, for Picardo, one of the central positions on the map is a place where you could have easily got yourself a nice spot by now over towards the western side, but it's delayed a lot.
Black Esports, I mean, they had a little bit of a showing, a pretty decent showing on our last Erangel today, but their Miramar just didn't back it up. We saw a weakness of theirs in that engagement that they had before in the warehouse. I think it was IWNRX to take them down. It just wasn't there. It was quite evident the difference in firepower between these two teams, but that is one hell of a shot from the N249. Just clapping, echoing between those hillsides.
Yeah,
and that's got to be humbling. Goodness me.
M24 to the face. That really hurts. Chudo just crumples. 8x again, looking to finish this one off. I don't know where he's found himself an 8x, but he's making good use of it. Shots from the side, though, from Neos. Laser beam. Just for the M4. Not quite an 8x, but a 6x will do the trick.
I wonder if they were trying to give them a little bit of a fake out there. Go up with the vehicle, get Lewis in, pretend that they're taking him back down as he drives away, but leave the sniper up there. And potentially find a shot from it. But Neos seem to spot something going on. Yeah, they'll still see the player there. Neos trying to connect with the shots, but not quite landing it just yet. Lewis on the deck. He's got the terrain cover now. And they need to deal with this. Because the sniper at this range with the 8x, this is the perfect engagement for him. He's got great sight lines. You can see that Brute Force do not want to allow this power to continue. Neos is flexed out wide. And they've got that off angle. In the meantime, Chudo actually getting spotted by IWNRX as they flow in from the northern edge. Find Freezer as well. And that's just allowed Black Esports to survive so much longer. Goodness me.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate crossing. Brute Force gets hella slowed down there. Once the icy grip gets to them, it's IWNRX to kind of smash the ice itself apart. But it's a good initial engagement for Brute Force over towards Enigma Galaxy. Just a shame that the rest of the game hasn't gone so smoothly for them.
IWNRX, though, pretty happy to just find those elimination points of these surrounding teams. They can't really find anything too much more. Yeah, Black Esports, they're just losing player after player to these engagements. Enigma Galaxy as well, getting crunched in by Na'Vi on the south quadrant of El Pozo. Getting closer and closer to Montenuevo, or being forced to go there, rather. You see shots from Toshbek. 3 players alive for Black Esports, but Na'Vi over the ridge line. Might make things difficult for them moving forwards. Next zone soon to close in blank, and that is going to be where we get our biggest zone shrink into phase 2, and we're going down south. It pops all the way to those Chumasara Hills, keeps Montenuevo in the northeast side.
Yeah, down towards La Giera. Kind of an interesting one in terms of the sightlines here, because you've got the two prevailing high grounds over towards the east and the west side. The teams are going to want to play on. Trovo 2030 has already picked themselves up a very nice spot on the western edge. And in the meantime, Team Spirit flitted through Chumacera and have headed over towards that eastern side. So could go either way, both those teams. But right now, Trovo 2030 and Team Spirit holding some very powerful positions in the map. A lot of other teams would like to get in on with. And there's a huge amount of squads actually on the outside edge of the circle right now. There's not a massive amount of teams that have made it into the circle just yet.
Vibes wanting a path to be open for them, but Zeus are there. By the way, two teams still in Picardo. And this is the price you pay. Twisted Minds moving a little bit more centrally. These two linearizing high grounds that you were talking about down from Montenuevo towards Vallademar along that roadside. That is really what these teams are trying to navigate. Twisted Minds trying to move out to the west edge of it. But Narvia in the way. Despite, I mean, maybe concluding here as Regnum Kai, Everard, and Team Falcons both pour out of the windows. It goes over towards the Falcons, but they lose a player. They're pretty hyped up about it. I think they can see each other.
Yeah, they're giving each other a little bit of jip there. Fair enough as well, to be honest. Like, come on, guys. I think at some point you just got to realize you give it up. And like I said, Picardo, you can hold it as two. Just don't drop towards apartments. Drop towards stadium. Something like that. And then you can part ways on good terms. You don't have to take each other out. So still got a few teams to make it in. Twisted Minds still outside in the blue, but most of the teams have made their way out and into the circle itself. No, sorry, Twisted Minds are not in the blue. We're just on board with them. And use this new tower here. That's cool. I didn't realize that before. Highlights the team we're on board with. Beautiful. If you noticed that before me, good on you.
I don't think I realised that that's what that was. There you go. Good to know. Brute Force on the northwest side. We're not on board with anyone now because nothing's highlighted. Normally, I think before we've had it where it sometimes highlights if a team's out in the blue zone, highlights them in blue. But not this time around. We've cleaned it up a little bit. Over towards La Driera, yet again, Team Spirit. The very central. But they got challenge. IWNRX scrapping it out. Effect up on the roof there. Whoa. Trying to throw a nade right at us there, Team Spirit. What do you think you're doing? We're only here to watch. You don't get any points for nading us out. Effect is down. Will be flushed out as well. IWNRX will continue the pressure. S2G crunching Team Spirit on the flank as well as Marso sprays down Kitsune for the flush. Matic and Nomi on the upstairs, and IWNRX just have this one given to them. Swain is down though, and potentially S2G could turn the tide of the battle in their favor.
Yeah, that is that's really quite an instantaneous roll-up, and by roll-up I mean they've rolled over Team Spirit. And Renee goes over to the top side. I mean, it's Nomi and Matic. Typically, these two do play very well off one another, but in a 2v4 versus IWNRX, this is looking somewhat unlikely.
Nomi and Matic. Two players alive for Team Spirit. Swain stepping up the stairs a little bit. Spray down. Not connecting. Posturing for now. 4 players alive. I feel like they must be fairly low on nades. Swain certainly doesn't have any. Otherwise you can imagine that that top floor would be a lot more explosive than it is right now.
I think they're just worried about heading over towards the second floor and some sight lines coming through from the outside edges. Smoke's been poured in. Potentially looking just to gun it up the stairs as a 4-man and hope to trade off one another.
If S2G hear this, though, they roll straight on in. And that's what Frozen is there to try and stop. But it's going to be really quite difficult. Oh, Twisted Minds spotting the back lines of S2G. More third partying going on. Swain, finally, on the top floor. Step straight to the crossfire. Immediately flushed out as well. Okay, that's what they were worried about. Nomi and Matic have this on lock. I mean, even through the smoke, they hear these steps going up. You just step out, you swing, you spray. Nomi pre-firing the building across the way. They think Frozen's still in there, but he dropped down to go for the backup. Heads up from Nomi, though. I mean, he's really switched on in this fight.
I mean, you got to lock it in. I think for a fact that his position was pretty bold on the rooftops. No real way to get him up. I get that he's a good tool for scouting. But again, it's one of those positions where you have to be really careful because it is very strong. It's just how you play it. And as soon as effect goes down, the rest of the team sort of crumbles around him. Black Esports looking to make a play here.
They're going for the roll-up. They're playing as 3. But they don't find anything with their opening salvo of nades. And I think that has really scared them a little bit. Maybe rightly so. Potentially unsure as to what the state of play is here. So being cautious for Black Esports. Instead, they try and linearize the fight. A big nade in from Zeus. He just sat there and waited for that one to go through. Kind, though, takes the first player out from Black Esports. Frozen being down leaves them as 2. Remember, you've still got Team Spirit upstairs as well. That's 4 teams in this engagement. A spray down from Eren as Zeus rally on in, trying to keep this fight under their purview. 4 players alive for Zeus, and potential to regroup here if they take all of this down. Falcons rolling on in. This is a 5th team now in this fight, up and active. Black Esports, Team Spirit, IWNRX, Zeus, and Falcons all scrapping over the Ladriera hill on the north side. Nomi is there, but his teammate is down. Lewis, very, very low. 1 player left standing. Nomi on the upstairs as Black Esports contest for it. Falcons are getting torn apart. It's Guild, a 6th team now, enters the ring. It's a Royal Rumble here on the north side of Ladriera as we heat things up in Miramar.
This is a ridiculous engagement, by the way. There's so many teams here, all looking to pick up this position. Nade in hand from Black Esports. That should be the end of Nomi as we know him.
Guild.
Bunch of damage. Actually, not the Elim, though.
This is Guild with an opportunity. Is what I said before. They've been given a lot of opportunity, but have not been able to convert. This is their test, though. If they can win out this position, they can get a little bit more aggressive with it. I want to see more from them. Nomi, though, a big challenge for them to handle. Steps out really doggedly in his pursuit of that. Flusher will be able to find it. Toshbik as well. Doesn't know where he's gone. Falcons are out. Exo's there. He's taken one down. Is Team Spirit still alive? I think he is. Waiting in the wings. You've got to be worried. There's still a player on the upstairs, but do they know? I think they might think they've taken everybody else out, but there's still one more to go. GG, not GG, dropping that smoke, moving around now, smoking out the windows. They think they're alone, but Nomi's still there. He hits the deck. He might have figured this out.
This is so silly. Nade's going in over towards Guild, harassing the position. Another nade through the window. Sails past Nomi through the doorway. No damage tagged. And he's still in this.
Okay, they do know then. They are still putting nades down. They must have heard something. Zeus is still there on the outskirts. They've been controlling this fight masterfully. Enforcing the cage lock-in.
This is... I don't know how Nomi's still alive, but he is. He's living this one out.
So Zedwolf.
Another nade went through. Actually took down one of the Guild players. Went directly past Nomi's feet. He can't afford to drop another smoke now, though. Because they'll know his exact position on the rooms.
And the thing is, if Zeus take down Guild, they also may be unaware that there's players there. Zedwolf as well. They don't know he's there, but the footsteps will give that away. He's playing underneath the staircase and in through the smoke. A nice pump action shot to shut it down. Guild taking a knock towards the backlines. Nomi is still there. On the swivel, on his belly. A snake on the upper floor, ready to strike. Zero. Getting that res on through, protecting his teammate. Darkin is there. They have to move around. Do they know that Nomi is still there? They've got to be worried. And you've got to think, do you just take that fight into a 1 versus 3 and then control the staircase? You might just go for it. GG, not G, GG takes a break to take Coops out of the equation against Twisted Minds.
They are dropping smokes everywhere, which is actually kind of assisting Nomi at the moment. Finally gets into a crouched position. Zero's watching the stairs.
Spray.
He steps out, doesn't find it though. Picked his moment badly. But still, what a gamer getting that long into the game.
Pump action. One and done. Tries to put another one through the door frame, but it's Guild to win out this engagement even further. Zeus do go down to one. You can see Rita on the outskirts. And finally, they may have calmed things down just a touch as Zeus fall. Twisted Minds now, their western flank here. And Guild come out smelling pretty strongly of eliminations right now. 9 on their tally. And they have done well to make it through that.
Yeah, I think Guild may have bitten off a little bit more than they can chew, but finally do manage to stomach what has been an insane engagement over towards that north side. Every single team that's gone out, it's all happened on that northern edge. 11 teams, 26 players. That is 2.5 average per team, which is very silly. Enigma Galaxy on 1, Trovo on 2, Zeus on 1, S2G on 1, only 1 on 2 full 4-man squads in Vibes, as well as Virtus Pro going into stage 5. What a crazy game it has been to end the day.
Icy gets taken down by the blue zone. That was an unforced error on the south side for Icy. Zone 5, so we'll need a fast pickup. That is unfortunate. Trovo 2030 will be eliminated as well. That was out on this west edge. Watching Snowix able to handle that. Na'Vi playing as 3 on the western side as well. Taking a look at the rest of the map, we've been focused on the north side for a long time now, Blank, but it seems like 77 and Vibes have got a really strong position in towards the middle of this circle, keeping that compound under control, split across the road, but they are in a little bit of a valley. The position out to the east, I think that Virtus Pro could potentially move in to try and hold, could be incredibly strong. The high ground that overlooks that compound out on that eastern edge for Virtus Pro. They did fully lose Icy, so I don't know what happened there, but they're playing as 3, which means that there is only one full 14.
It's a massive, weird game this has been so far. Na'Vi over towards that western side do have a little bit of high ground to play around with, but the circle shifts dead center to some very dead. Vibes will have to move, but 77 currently holding it down over towards their northern edge. I'll have to cross the road, so at least 77 will have perfect onto that, but pretty much every other team that has a chance at grabbing a chicken dinner here is on the outside of the circle, and all have to move in.
That dark patch that was to the northeast side and sits central of the circle, sorry, northeast of 77, and sits central to the circle, is just a massive ditch that you have sightlines down on towards. There's a little bit of terrain cover that I think currently Pmsl is holding out on. Snowix sprayed out on that door frame. I didn't quite catch that the first time around. Finds a third. Okay, a 1 versus 3 for Snowix on the west flank.
Maybe a 1 versus 4. There was another knock on the outside that went down.
Oh, okay.
If so, pretty unreal.
He's dead now, though.
He goes out. No, so not a 1v4. It looks like someone else got taken out on the sidelines. Gave him a little bit of support to ensure he could make it happen.
Yeah, 3 points only for Enigma Galaxy. But 3 valuable points to close out.
Pretty cool. Doran looking over towards Na'Vi, who are crossing the road currently. They should have eyes over towards this one. That is a peak Doran desperately needed to make. Sees the smokes. Now knows the general direction of Na'Vi and where they're playing. Guild takes down another, adding to their toll.
Lemon. Okay. Wait, he didn't get knocked? That's a real big What on earth? How has he managed to survive that? Oh, that was a Molotov as well. He moves away from the buggy. Has 4 first aids. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, finally. He wasn't going to live for too much longer, you'd hope.
Kind of crazy. But yeah. Should not have been allowed that. Either way. It's over now. We don't have to think about it. It can't hurt you anymore. Guild trying to move down south after their resounding victory on the northern side. Unfortunately, Twisted Minds have other ideas. They don't care who you've taken down so far. You step into the sight lines of Rob's Mini 14. It's going to be a bad time, but it goes click. That might just be the respite that Zero needs. It was not.
Quick taps over that way. I think he thought he was still behind the car and then just spotted him crawling down the hillside. He almost got away with it as well. It wasn't for that. Damn Robs.
Classic Rob's maneuver, that. Eliminating his opponents. You hate to see it. Navi lose another. They're down to 2. Twisted Minds with the high ground, but not quite with the position. Again, it is all around that central ditch.
Yeah, Navi didn't lose when it was Vibes getting taken out there. Just one knock over their way.
Ah.
Navi losing Lemon a little bit earlier on versus Twisted Minds. Yeah, Vibes is the real big target for 77. It's the full 4-man. They get an initial knockoff. And again, depending on the circle, it should be them being pushed into 77 and across the road. So a lot of smokes required. Really only Guild that comes away from this game with any semblance of strong point scoring with the 10 elims that they found on this one. Every other elim is just scattered between all of the teams in the lobby.
Vibes trying to make their move now. They have to get rid of 77 to have any hope of moving further into this. Stage 7, 7 teams alive. This is pretty chock-a-block now, because everyone's been reticent to move to center of the circle, which would have caused a couple more teams to go down, but there is no cover. Only Hamzy has some sort of cover. And he's all on his own for S2G. In goes Twisted Mind. Lord might actually crash straight on him, but no, he finds Doran on the back. Now Lord is a challenge in the middle. Vibes are rampaging over towards 77, but the bullets finding their mark on the back lines. Magnum, pump action, trying to find the range on the shotgun. Not quite tagging onto Tree, but he's not tagging either. It's going both ways in the spray down. Wild, but finally managed to find its mark. And there it goes, 77 take down the encroaching forces of Vibes on the southwest side. Na'Vi wanting to change it as well. That was a big nade actually coming through from Na'Vi to pick up a lot of those eliminations. S2G have gone down in the meantime. Twisted Minds were able to take them out in the midst of it, but Robs is still on the back foot, and now nobody is in the middle.
Yeah, everyone's suffering. Everyone's suffering right now. This is not a fun game. It has not been a fun game since the start for a lot of teams, honestly. But Na'Vi's still going strong for themselves, despite having a rough rotation to make. This team is super quick on the uptake, though, where the vulnerable parts of the map are. Virtus Pro makes their dash over towards the eastern side of the map. I'm going to put themselves at distance from literally everyone else here, John.
Oh dear, Guild though. Still on the warpath, 11 eliminations, and they want more. They do need it as well. The point's not looking super happy for them, but after this, might be a bit healthier. A bit more rosier cheeked. Versus Pro though, playing as 3, get the res onto Bishke, Malloy, Koa, both taking shots back over towards Guild. Cover off from Na'Vi, who are yet to crest that ridge line. 2 players for Na'Vi, 3 for Virtus Pro. The heals come through. Guild haven't moved forwards either. Look at that dust bowl that sits in the middle of them. That is so open and vulnerable.
Yeah, this is horrendous. It's not a bowl you want to find yourself in. Quickly gets scooped up and sent out of this lobby. Na'Vi, though, I don't know how they've done it, but they are still getting work done inside of this lobby. With even Axa managed to find a position to play. I don't know if you call it playable. Predicated off the back of some smokes, realistically.
That little outcrop there that's covering Axa from the south side. Sorry, from the north side is so important. He steps out. Okay. Up to a hay bale. Has to play on the open. Needs more smoke, but it's starting to fall. Flip is out of it. Will not be able to survive that. Unfortunately, Axo not going to be able to go for the regroup. Needs to heal off. drop another smoke, stay alive for just a moment longer, because other teams are going to need to do sort of similar maneuvers, get to these hay bales, try and stay alive in some really quite hairy positions. That roll down from Guild is looking pretty good, actually. They've got a lot of cover with those hay bales, with that tractor as well. Can pepper pot their way forwards as everybody else now has to move. Again, that zone crunching everybody through. 3 players alive for Virtus Pro, and they are still the powerhouse in this lobby.
Virtus Pro takes some taps across. Zone 9, last in the lobby. Nade goes high.
Sure.
Get a little bit closer. Dexo's fine. Axa, last left alive for Na'Vi. It's 3 players right now for Virtus Pro. Looking to finish this out, but look where they have to come off of. This is not a hill to win on. This is a hill to die on.
But 77 have to dismount themselves as well. And there's a shot over towards GG, not GG. Zadira moving in. Koa holding his nerve against Exo's Peak, who is the last player alive. I think that's Na'Vi taking shots. They're out now, so the far side is open. This gives a little bit more breathing room, and Virtus Pro now only have 2 directions to worry about. Scoping in, needs to thread the needle. Zadira gets the heel off, steps out to the right-hand side, but he's still just eating bullets to the shins, and it's Virtus Pro again to go back-to-back on Miramar to close down the day, finding a second chicken dinner on the trot.
I mean, Virtus Pro has been very close a few times today, actually. But yeah, really, really good games from Virtus Pro. Overall, it's been very fun to watch them. The double on Miramar is really good too, and that is going to up the point standing overall for them. 2 fantastic matches on 2 unbelievably difficult finishes. It really just is a testament to the resilience coming through from Virtus Pro in both these matches. Very, very fun to watch.
The moral of the story, don't hot drop in Picardo. It's terrible. Stop doing it. I hate it. It's bad.
Yeah. I think, again, this could easily be avoided in future. And for 1/3 of games, you do not want that to happen. This was this incredible play coming through from Snowix earlier on. And then this was the fight of fights.
That was the Royal Rumble of came out on top, which is probably not who I would have expected. The script writers did a nice little bamboozle on that one, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's enjoyable.
It was enjoyable. It was definitely very funny. I was kind of hoping that Numi would go further into that game. It's sad he doesn't. But yeah, overall, a really, really fun day. And Virtus Pro getting away with that one with just about how much healing as they did damage. 8 eliminations. It's been scrappy all day. Very, very scrappy. But I've enjoyed it. I've definitely enjoyed today in terms of just all the games have been a little bit wacky, a little bit weird. But we got to test the players. We got to test the players. You're in day 3 now. You've had day 1 and 2 to figure things out. We kept things a little bit calmer in those days. Come to day 3, this is where you got to throw out those funky circles.
Yeah, you got to get a little bit funky with it. I feel like a lot of this is off the back of having some, I think, very, very heavy central situations come through, right? It's pretty difficult to survive as full 4 when everybody's packing themselves in. MVP on the day, Lord coming through from Twisted Minds. I mean, they have had a pretty nasty day. 3.4 thousand damage, 21 limbs. That's a deserving MVP on the day.
Yeah, very, very fun stuff from Lord, honestly. Not the guy that I would expect to be taking the MVP, though. I think I was more gearing up towards maybe over towards Koa or maybe even a Swain from IWNRX, but not Lord. But he has been putting in the work for Twisted Minds on their come-up day, I would say.
Yeah, I think that they've gotten nice and deep into some games. I think Virtus Pro obviously have had some miraculous end of the day, but Twisted Minds throughout the entirety of it have sort of been well, evidently just far more consistent with in the hands of Lord. Coops as well, backing him up nicely today, which is good to see. The two moving over from that Think the Galaxy roster together, coming through for Twisted Minds. EXO, though, led eliminations on that last match with 5 for Guild on that northern side. So really great stuff for them to be able to clear out the entirety of Ladriera. I think they got up to 11 or 12 eliminations towards the end there as well.
Yeah.
So nice stuff for their points tally.
I mean, they walk away with the wrestling belt, right? The wrestling championship belt, which is very much deserving of that. They certainly dropped a couple of chairs on the other players' heads. But yeah, it's very... Exactly. Nomi was just hidden underneath the ring, which is fair enough. I wouldn't want to come out of the ring entirely during that entire segment. But yeah, for Nomi still goes down. I think he tried to take his cheeky chance. But today has been a good one. It's been a really good one in the sense that it's not just Na'Vi pummeling every other team inside the lobby. We're going to find out who Lord opts to challenge just in a little bit. But here's our match rankings. 18 points for Virtus Pro, 16 for Guild, and 13 for 77. 77 have done some work today, not a huge amount, but they haven't looked lifeless.
No, they have been sort of consistently present, I would say, on the peripherals of these matches, and 13 points is a good way to cap off the day. Na'Vi as well getting 10 points, a little bit more of a return to form, so that's a good way to close down day 3 for them. One more day's games for teams like Na'Vi, like IWNRX as well. We'll see what they can do with it as we head on down to the second page of our match rankings. It's 3 points once again for Team Spirit. To be fair,
the usual.
To be fair, that Ladriera fight kind of was crazy, but even so, it's happened again.
Yep, it's coming back. I mean, to be fair to Team Spirit, like they had the spot, and it could have easily been a case where maybe they get further into that game. But you have 6 teams third partying the same spot. Maybe you could forgive it a little bit.
But it's happening far too frequently, right? That's the point. Is
that
sure,
one is forgiveness.
You can make excuses for each individual match, but when it comes down to it, they are underperforming dramatically over the course of it. And at some point, you have to say, you know what, something is going wrong over for Team Spirit. And I will agree with you, and I will concede that it was absolutely wild in that last match on that specific position. But I think when you look back at the other matches that they've played, they've made fairly consistent mistakes, and I think it comes down to potential lack of willingness to get stuck into an actual